Welcome back to Mighty Mac on YouTube. The Charlotte 4-Wide Nationals is officially wrapped up, and much to many of the older fans' delight, the 4-Wide Nationals portion of the NHRA calendar is officially over. We saw an incredible race once again as we build on an insanely good start to the 2024 season. We have a lot to look forward to and a lot to cover, so without further ado, let's get into the video. But before we do, like I keep saying, if you enjoy the content that we're making, if you like the interviews, you like the race recaps, you like the stories, be sure to subscribe today to the channel as we get ready for the month of May. We're going to be at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway covering the 108th running of the Indianapolis 500, as well as the Indianapolis Grand Prix, and of course the Chicago Joliet Route 66 Nationals at Route 66 Raceway. So if you like what we're doing with the content, be sure to subscribe today so you don't miss any of the coverage that we're going to have in the next month. And without further ado, let's get into the video. So like I said at the start of the video, the 4-Wide Nationals portion of the calendar is officially over. We saw two incredible back-to-back races and an insane start to the NHRA season. We're going to jump straight into the brackets so that way we can get to the brackets, get to the highlights through there, and then show you the video highlights that NHRA has given us. So looking straight into Pro Stock Motorcycle highlights out of there. Looking all the way back up here at the top, Hector Arana Jr. red lit in the semifinal round, throws away a possible final round after a good start to the afternoon. Looking back at his race, he started off in the second pair with Matt Smith, Ron Torno, and Kelly Klontz. Came real close in a heads-up finish to Kelly Klontz, but ended up getting the better of that. Moves on to the semifinal bracket, facing off against Matt Smith, Ellie Tonglin, and Richard Gadsden. Red lights there. Gives up a potential final round victory, and then we ended up seeing Ellie Tonglin and Richard Gadsden going to the final round, and that's another highlight that I have for that as well. Ellie Tonglin making his first final round since 2018. A good start to the season for Ellie Tonglin on that Vance and Hines Suzuki. That is a rental bike program. It is not like what Matt Smith had last year. That is actually a Vance and Hines bike that he is renting to race for that team. So he has the exact same engine combination that Richard Gadsden and Gage Herrera has, and is obviously paying off now because the bike has looked extremely strong all season long, especially with the fact he qualified third going into this event just behind Matt Smith and Gage Herrera. As for Matt Smith, unable to make the final round this time out. His first race back since Gainesville, he looked strong going into qualifying, ended up falling second to Gage Herrera in Q4, makes it to the semifinals, and then ends up not being able to make it out of second gear, has to push the clutch in and give it up, and loses a possible final round appearance. In the final round, you would see Gage Herrera versus John Hall versus Richard Gadsden, and then finally L.E. Tonglin. That is three Vance and Hines Suzukis against one of the Matt Smith Racing Buells. You take a wild guess on who won that one. It was none other than Gage Herrera, who wins yet another race, goes back-to-back for the Charlotte 4-Wide Nationals, and is very happy to get this win done. As he says, he gets to shut up the keyboard warriors for another event. Moving on into Pro Stock, an incredible race that we saw there. Highlights from round number one. Dave Connolly in his return to Pro Stock running Greg Anderson's, I believe that was his car from last year, it might be his new car. I believe it's his new car from last year. Dave Connolly would cross the center line and foul out an NHRA return. Jake Coughlin, who won the Las Vegas 4-Wide Nationals 2 weeks ago, ends up having issues on the starting line that would see him have to give it up. He loses a round one matchup. We're in the same pair that Dave Connolly was in. Derek Kramer and Troy Coughlin Jr. would run around and take that. There was apparently an incident up at the top end too. I believe Troy cut in front of Jeg, and Jeg had to stomp on the brakes, so there was almost an incident up there. Other highlights as well. Erica Enders, semifinal appearance, has issues running in, I believe, the second lane. Had to give it up. She loses in the semifinal round. It's been a hit or miss for her. I believe she only has the one win back at Gainesville. The car keeps looking increasingly strong, but for some reason, whatever it is just not the same combination that they had last year where they're hitting off on all cylinders, even though last year she didn't really start to get her momentum built up until about the Bristol, Kansas portion of the calendar. So we're gonna have to wait a bit to see whether or not this is just a late blooming season for her, or if we're gonna really start to see that possibly Jake Coughlin Jr. and guys like Christian Quadra, Aaron Stanfield, Jerry Tucker, Greg Anderson, and so forth can actually start to break down that gap that Erica Enders has built over the time that she's been running in Pro Stock. Other highlights as well. Christian Quadra, second final appearance of the season. We talked about Erica Ender's one win this season back at Gainesville. Well, who did she beat for that race? None other than Christian Quadra on the weekend, where his father retires on the weekend, where the brothers are celebrating their birthday, as well as Fernando Sr. celebrating a birthday. A really good weekend for him. Number 2 qualifier going to the event takes care of Mason McGahey and Fernando Quadra Jr. Faces off in the semifinals against Aaron Stanfield, Jerry Tucker, and Erica Enders. And it would you see Christian Quadra and Aaron Stanfield advance to the final round to face off against Dallas Glenn and Greg Anderson. Greg Anderson and Dallas Glenn had to go through 3 pairs together. They went to this first round against Sienna Wildgus and David Quadra. Moves on to the semifinals to face off against Derek Kramer and Troy Coughlin Jr. Defeats them. And then Greg Anderson goes back-to-back at Charlotte after winning the Carolina Nationals back during the playoffs of 2023 and dismantles Derek Kramer's so-called, possible back-to-back race wins as he won the 4-wide last year. In Nitro, we're going to straight go to Funny Car, highlights from there. Dave Richards is probably going to be the biggest one of the entire event. Moves into this event number 14 qualifier. That car looked a lot better than it had in the past. It made a couple clean runs down the racetrack. Came into this event number 14 qualifier, facing up against Matt Hagan, Blake Alexander, and Austin Prock. And if you had Dave Richards going on through round 1 against those 3, then all props to you with your Bracket Bonanza picture, probably in the top 5 for that. Defeating Austin Prock, who has been the strongest racer all season long. Moves on with Matt Hagan as Blake Alexander smoked tires and crossed the center line, had to back out of it. But man, oh man, what a turnaround for this team as it continues to build momentum as the season goes along. It's been baby steps for that team. It was a very poor start to the start of the season, but these last 2 weeks have seen a really big turnaround for that Versatran Toyota Camry. Other highlights as well. Daniel Wergeson, first final round appearance of the season. Face off against Paul Lee, Jim Campbell, and Bob Taskett III in round number 1. Moves on with Bob Taskett to face off against Matt Hagan and Dave Richards. Bob Taskett ends up losing in the semifinals with Dave Richards. Moving on, Matt Hagan and Daniel Wergeson to the final round to face off against John Force and J.R. Todd. John Force went through with Cruz Pedregon through round 1 after defeating Chad Green and John Smith. And then J.R. Todd had to go through Buddy Hall and Ron Capps to move on to the round 2 with Alexis Ajoria taking care of her as well as Cruz Pedregon. That sets up your final round matchup. We see J.R. Todd, your winner from Gainesville, John Force, your winner from Pomona, and then Matt Hagan and Daniel Wergeson looking for their first wins of the season. And Matt Hagan would capture his 50th career win at zMAX Dragway, about 2 hours from his home, so a really good hometown win for the 4-time Funny Car World Champion. But of course, John Force making the final round. Another note that I have for him as well, continuing to build momentum as the season goes along. Broke the track record ET in qualifying, his best career ET with that 3.820, looked very strong all day long, looked even stronger with back at Pomona. The team in Danny Hood is really starting to turn the corner, and that team is going to be making noise if they keep performing the way they do. Could you possibly see an 18-time Funny Car champion? Only time will tell. And then finally moving into Top Fuel. Jasmine Salinas, a huge shout out to her and the Scrappers Racing team. Her first round win of the season since jumping in the car back at Pomona. They said going into this race they're going to start to get more aggressive with the setup as Jasmine has gotten comfortable in the car, and it very much looks so. Moves into this round 1 number 9 qualifier against Sean Reed, Cody Crone, and Doug Coletta, and advances with Doug Coletta into the semifinals. Her journey would end there as she faced off against Doug Coletta, Clay Milliken, and Billy Torrance. Clay Milliken and Doug Coletta move on to the final round, where you would see Doug Coletta versus Clay Milliken, Antron Brown, and Justin Ashley. Justin Ashley's story, round 1 against Dan Mercier, Tony Stewart, and Doug Foley. Doug Foley would lose, as well as Dan Mercier, moving Tony and Justin into the semifinals to face off against Brittany Force and Antron Brown, who took out Sean Langdon and Steve Torrance, who had early first-round exits. There was a couple big-name first-round exits in this event with the Nitro categories. Not only do you have Sean Langdon and Steve Torrance, you had Austin Prock and Ron Capps going home early, so a lot of big contenders taken out early in this race. But in the final round, you would have the reigning Top Fuel World Champion, who just won Las Vegas 4Y Nationals, facing him was Clay Milliken, Justin Ashley, who's looked oh so strong, and then Antron Brown, a former winner of the 4Y Nationals in his own right. Justin Ashley would score an 0.46 tree and blisters the competition down the racetrack and scores another national event win as that team continues to look strong as the season goes on, building the same momentum that they had last year. Clay Milliken would come up just short after an 0.50 light, finishing runner-up, but running 337 miles an hour to a runner-up finish. I keep saying it, Clay Milliken is looking stronger. They finally got the parts figured out that's been holding them back since back at Pomona when they kept blowing off superchargers like it was going out of style, and that team has really found their footing. And going into Chicago, where he kick-started his really strong run of 3 national event wins, you could possibly see history repeat itself and Clay Milliken get another national event win. Will he do it? Only time will tell, but hopefully we'll be there to cover it all. So we looked through all the recaps. Let's get into the highlight videos, and then let's look forward to the month of May.
They rocket off the starting line. A red light start for Tonglet. And all the way to the finish line, it is Gage Herrera, 668.4 at 202.73 miles an hour.
I don't think anyone was surprised to see Gage Herrera hoist the Wally here this weekend. Killer reaction times. You've got a bike that is performing, but you guys almost look beatable in qualifying. What did you find that put you guys over the edge in that last qualifying session?
I mean, mainly with, Andrew, my crew chief, all the guys at Van Science, they just need to figure out the new fuel change, and took a few laps, but we're right back to where we were, so that really didn't affect us. But, us as a whole team, that was 3 Van Science bikes in the final against John Hall, and, us as a whole team, we really showed out this weekend, and I'm proud to be a part of Van Science, and this Revzilla Motul Gen 3 Suzuki Hayabusa was on rails all day today. I mean, it was basically a bracket bike from a 69 to a 68, and that final was very nerve-wracking, and I'm just glad to prove all the keyboard warriors wrong, about as far as me cutting lights, and we got 3 fast motorcycles.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Woo!
They leave in uneven fashion. Stanfield and Glenn match at 0.11. The 4 cars with the hammer down, and it will be the HendrickCars.com Chevrolet of Greg Anderson. 6.502 seconds. A masterful performance with an 0.34 reaction time. It is win number 105.
So Greg Anderson brings home the Wally at his hometown race, the home of HendrickCars.com. And Greg, it was a performance on both sides of it. Your driving as well as the performance of this vehicle. What made it all kind of come together this weekend?
I think it's just the good vibes when I come out here, Bruno. It's I love this racetrack. I love everything about it. I love it when our supporters, Hendrick Cars, all the guys, all the employees, all the people that are so important to me that we couldn't do this program without. They all come out to support us, and that means so much to me. I've told you guys before, I need sometimes I need a little something to jumpstart that heart. That does it for me. Anytime I get a challenge like that. Also got a small challenge from Mr. H this morning, and guess what? It got the job done. So thank you, buddy. Pay up.
Congratulations, Greg.
Thank you.
Forrest deep stage the car. They leave the starting line. Wilkerson's looking pretty good here, but Hagan's going to run around him at the finish line. 394.6 on a whole shot. Outruns Wilkerson's 392.3. That is very, very excellent. 397.8 as J.R. Todd and John Forrest are sitting on the sideline.
Victory here behind the wheel of a funny car. Matt, it was a 020 something light. We're going to call it a whole shot. Don't know if you parked stage with the front tire or the back tire. At the end of the day, though, you're going to get that Wally from Ned Walliser. Congratulations on what can be a home track victory for you here today.
Well, it's really special. I mean, 50 wins for me is huge. It's, I've seen a lot of people come, a lot of people go out here, and we're just glad to be out here. But my guys do a great job, and I wouldn't call it a whole shot win. In the finals, we all buried up like that, and it's just one of those things. You trying to shorten up the racetrack a little bit. Maybe pulled an old John Forrest, I don't know, but you can teach this young dog some tricks anyway. But I ain't young. I got white hair all over me. At the end of the day, it's a Dodge deal. We got Dodge on the car, win for Dodge, and I'm just excited that my guys got one out of the way. It's like last year we won 3 already, and we hadn't won yet. So getting that monkey off your back, man, it just feels good. But proud of my guys. Woo! Good job. Let's go, buddy.
They're clean. Antron smokes the tires, and across the stripe, the win will be for Justin Ashley. 371.0, a 46 light, 372.2, and a 372.5 for Milliken and Coletta. Not good enough.
For the second time in 2024, Justin Ashley is going to be bringing home the Wally. They say consistency is what it's all about, but consistency in terms of a race car as well as a driver. Another 40 light for you. What is it going to take to kind of derail this freight train you've got going right now?
Well, I think the only thing that could really derail it is ourselves if we get out of focus, right? I mean, it's not about focusing on the competition. You want to know where you are at relative to everyone else, but our focus is being the very best version of ourselves that we could be. And as long as we keep that internal focus, I think we'll have a lot of success. So Mike Green, Tommy Lago, Dustin Davis, the whole Skag Power Equipment, Toyota Phillips team works so hard day in and day out. So I'm the one who gets to hold this Wally. It says zMAX on it. It should say Skag Power Equipment, and everybody in our team's name on it. Just so proud to represent Skag Power Equipment, all of Skag Nation, all the wonderful dealers, users, owners out there. Oh man, these things are tough to win. I get emotional sometimes. So just couldn't be more proud, couldn't be more grateful for the opportunity.
Congratulations.
Thanks, Bruno.
So that will wrap up the video here for the Charlotte 4Y Nationals. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, if you're enjoying the content that we make, then be sure to subscribe down to the channel below. Be sure to like, be sure to comment, and be sure to share the video with everybody you know, because like I have been saying since back at Gainesville, and even Gainesville of 2023, if you are not watching drag racing right now, you are missing out on some of the best racing that you're going to see in the country. We have just gotten through the 4Y Nationals part of the calendar, so it's 2 wide racing all the way until the finals in Pomona. So if you love the content that we have, if you love the recaps, if you love the interviews, be sure to subscribe and share with everybody you know so they can get a taste of what's going on in the NHRA Mission Foods Drag Racing Series season. Follow me on all the social media pages down below. That is Mighty Mac03. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads. I'm posting there all the time, as well in the community pages as well here on YouTube with updates of what's going on in the events, possible penalty updates, and any breaking news stories that might be going on. So if you want to keep up with what's going on in the drag racing world, be sure to follow me on all those social media pages down below so you don't miss a thing. And again, thank you guys so much for watching, and until the Indianapolis Grand Prix at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the month of May, this has been Mighty Mac. I will see you next time.